Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Campus Care Debate Competition. The topic for the discussion is: should children use smartphones without parental supervision? And we have a list of students who are, going to represent themselves and speak about the topic. So, over to you, students. Who would like to go first?
May I, ma'am?
Yes, Ayush.
Yeah. Respected judges, my fellow teammates, and the devoted listeners, good evening to all of you. I am Ayush Gupta of Class 12, Don Bosco, Panbaza, Guwahati. Uh, as I am in the favor of the topic that children should use mobile phones without parental supervision, I'll take you some important points. Sorry. So I am in the favor of this topic that children should use smartphones without parental supervision. Uh, in order to present my views on this topic to prove myself, I'll take you some important points. First of all, like as we all know that everything has two sides. Every invention has two sides. Like it's completely up to us whether we use it for the right purpose or we misuse it. Now, coming on to the topic, coming on to the topic, it's a very challenging for parents, especially for working parents, to supervise their children when they're having online classes. I think some things they're wrong. Am I audible? Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
Ayush, you're completely audible. Continue.
Yes. Yeah. Um, our children they should also like respect our views, like sure that technical development. Then there are many more fields in this that supervising is actually not required, like because when you are supervising something, um, the quality that can be developed to a level, it's like certain cannot be developed to the next level when you're supervising something. That's what I personally feel. um, let's after this pandemic, it's actually there, but this pandemic has taught us a lot of things about reading, about new lifestyle, the change in humanities. And there's actually one more thing that has changed, especially that is the bond between the parents and the student, the bond between the parents and the child. Um, Nowadays, it's very common to see children using smartphones for educational purposes, or it may be like many purposes. Yeah. So, but the parents, they are actually worried. They want that things to be happen to like some extent. There is like a boundary. That's what they want. But I completely disagree because within a boundary, you can't achieve success to another level. Uh, Parents want their children to be on the words of them. They want their children to work on their words, which is completely fatal. For example, here I take, I want to be an actor, but I'm pursuing engineering as my career. Should I be happy with my work? Should I be contented? Should I like be a great engineer one day? That's fatal. No, I cannot be. Actually, uh, due to a research study, the depression rate in India, it's like one in every fourth student is suffering from depression. That's just because of extreme supervision, parental, this one, parental guidance, etc., etc. What I personally feel is that this supervision thing that shouldn't be there because it actually teaches us to be in a certain extent, certain limit. In the concluding lines, I would say that the technical materials, or we say the technical environment, should be introduced to the children of our era, especially because as we know, the future is all full of technology. Here I take examples of China and Japan, wherein students are being taught using technical environment. They are introduced to that already. So to think something creative, actually, in my opinion, I will say that do something like that is not require supervision. So in order to do something creative, in order to do something productive and to the next level, I would say that's it all. Thank you.
चार्जर भी आएगा थोड़ी मैंने रख दिया था रीट के ऊपर
Here I am.
Thank you, Ayush. Who would like to go next?
Can I speak?
Yeah, Karnika.
Good afternoon. I am Karanika Kashyap and I am from Don Bosco School, Panbazar. Before I state my own points, I'd like to quote whatever my learned friend from the Treasury bench had just mentioned. He said that everything has a good side as well as a bad side, and we should know what is right and what is wrong. Here, I would like to remind my friend from the Treasury bench that here we are talking about children and not adults. Children need to be taught what is right and what is wrong, and for that they need supervision. We are talking about children who are maybe 5 or 6 years old who do not know how to use mobile phones, how to use what app, how to use different apps for different purposes. So the point where he said that we should know what is right and what is wrong is this is not applicable for the age group that we are discussing here today. Coming to my own points, if you look around today, we see even newborn babies with a smartphone in their hands. Even babies of 1 or 2 years old know how to play YouTube. According to medical research, the microwave radiations that mobile phones emit can be harmful to them and to their health, to their brain as well as their eyes. It can cause blindness and even cancer. Medical researchers have proven that children absorb these radiations more than adults do because their skull is thinner and their tissues are also not as developed as they are in adults. Therefore, a we have to look at from the perspective of health issues as well, because we say that health is wealth. Next, when children use mobile phones, they are unaware of the consequences and they are unaware of the harmful activities that go on in the internet. For example, cyberbullying. A recent research have proven that more than 60% of teenagers have suffered cyberbullying, and from this age group, 47.7% are children under the ages of from between the ages of 6 to 10. Cyberbullying is a form of crime that includes activities like offensive name calling, purposeful embarrassment, physical threats, stalking, sexual harassment, and sustained harassment. My learned friend from the Treasury also mentioned that one out of every 4 children undergoes depression. The cause for depression is not merely parental supervision. The cause for depression can also be cyberbullying, because when a child is bullied on the internet, he or she finds it difficult to go and talk to their parents directly. So there can be a lot of other reasons for depression as well, including cyberbullying and harassment on the internet. Um, in today's world, there is sharing of inappropriate pictures over the internet, obscene images. We are aware of the not so recent, but we are aware of the boys locking eyes. And children need to be protected from such crimes. Not just they, they can also be people who commit those crimes, and they should know that under the IT Act, we have punishments against such acts. So, in order to protect them from being victims of such acts, as well as the people who can cause these acts, parents need to supervise their activities on mobile phones. I do not say here that parents should control each and every action of their children. After a certain age group, when their child has attained maturity and the child finally knows what is good for them on mobile phone and what is bad, then they can be given liberty. But up to a certain age group, I believe that parental supervision is necessary. Thank you.
Thank you, Karnika. Who would like to go next?
Ma'am, may I speak next?
Yes, Devyanshi.
Good afternoon, honorable judges, members of the opposition, and the audience. Today, I take my stand here to vehemently oppose the motion placed before the House, that is, should children use mobile phones without parental supervision? I would like to begin with the popular saying that the difference between technology and slavery is that slaves are fully aware that they are free. In today's day and age, children might not have stable relationships with their parents or even a healthy learning environment, but they sure do possess cell phones. Recent studies suggest that around 1 in 3 users, 3 internet users globally are under the age of 18. Our ever-growing dependency on information technology has our children to risks that we're too blind to see. It's not that uh, it's not that I am only worried for children who could be getting exposed to pornographic material while they're at an age when they're yet to study human biology. It's not just them. I'm also worried for children who could consume misinformation and develop prejudices. I'm worried for children who could be potentially targeted by pedophiles or become prey to cyberbullying. I'm worried for children who could lose their social communication skills and develop and end up with unhealthy sleeping schedules. And at the same time, I'm worried for kids who could lurk in the sidelines of the dark web and attract the eyes of terrorist outlets. Well, some might argue that the advent of digitalization demands that we have a stronger grasp on the trends in new technology. But I would like to remind the House that gathering knowledge does not necessarily mean mindlessly scrolling Instagram for hours on end without any real productivity, or playing pranks on Zoom classes, or getting hooked onto content that desensitizes children to violence, or even harassing others under the guise of anonymity. The opposition might argue that that content monitoring would be a violation of the right to privacy of a child. But again, I would like to remind the House that while minors do have some right to privacy, at the same time, they have a right to be protected by law from any harm. If today we do not Sorry, I got muted for a second. If today we do not monitor the kind of content that our children consume, then tomorrow we would have to regret when they would cross the invisible line between the use and the misuse of internet. Thank you.
Ma'am, can I go next?
Yes, Abhinay.
Good afternoon. I, Avinya Ghoshal, from Don Bosco School, Panbazar, today strongly oppose and speak against the motion presented to this August afternoon's debate. Should children use smartphones without parental supervision? Now, if I turn the question round, that should children be provided smartphones? In a world where 3-year-olds are walking with smartphones, playing with them, listening music in it, this question does not sound applicable. Recent studies show that more than 47% of children get addicted to smartphones before the age of 7.
When during lunch times moms are frustrated to feed their children and give them that smartphone, they do realize that that's wrong. At a certain limit or level, when you have given the smartphones, it's done, it's completed. But there should be that limit, that constraint that every mom, every dad, every parent out there should put forward to their children. Supervision is not just a simple word, it's a word that looks forward to an all round control that what my child is doing on the internet, on the mobile phone. As both my learned friends stated, that internet has not always given good things, but there are much bad to it. Sexual harassments, cyberbullying are two of those which take away lives, take away children's future and their light for tomorrow. This world is a big place, and smartphone has been an addition in this millennial century. But that doesn't mean that smartphones will take up our lives. If we human beings have made it, we have the control and we should have that constraint over it. The parent must be knowing what his or her child is doing on the smartphone. If that parent is not aware what pictures are being sent or transferred, with whom the child is conversing, what text messages are going on, that child may fall prone to a lot of cyber crimes. It may take away the child's life. Have you heard of the saying, it's better to come late to the party than not to attend it at all? To parents out there who have not yet gone and taken care or have put on that constraint or that control over their children on what they are doing on the smartphone, I'm worried. I ask you to go today and check your students' or child's smartphone. What are they doing? What is in it? Because this teenage is a very crucial age of one's life, and this matters for years to go. Your life matters. And if today you don't have that supervision or control, then I don't think so. Your child is going into right hands. First thing that you need to consider is buying a smartphone for your child with the phone features. Nowadays, phones have come out with parental control applications, which each phone should have, and parents should make sure that they put in forward this effort to have that constraint over the mobile phones. Otherwise, the children might fall prey and prone to a lot of cyberbullying, cybercrime, sexual harassments, fall prey to wrong numbers, even a lot of cyber crimes that we can't even imagine. You should also consider the child's age and maturity level. A child of 7 has not attained that maturity level, but a child of 13 has attained. So a 7-year-old child, when using a phone, is not new to new things, but a 13 is very much prone to a lot of things. It's your responsibility as parents to check on with what they are doing. A lot of crimes that are happening are because parents are not considerate about what their child are doing on phones. This trend of putting passwords in your galleries, in your WhatsApps, in your mobile phones, so that everything is private. But tell me, this privacy can also lead to danger. Danger that can get very, very harmful for the child's future and child's life. Parental control can be a very good initiative and a method that a child should have in his phones. If that constraint is not there, I don't think that the child is going into a right future. when everything is in moderation and has always been the best approach when it comes to technology. But ever since smartphones came out, they are being used more and more by the children. I don't think adults need to be told what they should watch over the internet, what they should do over the internet, what is wrong or what is right. But teenagers and children should have that supervision, that constraint, so that they don't fall prey or prone to any of the cyber crimes. My earnest request to all the parents out there, please check, go and ask your children what they are doing on the internet. Before providing them mobile phones, the internet facilities, check on that they do have parental controls in their phone or not. It's their future, and if that goes in vain, it's your responsibility. I again repeat the motion for today. Should there be parental control over children's watching whatever they're watching in the mobile phones? And I believe yes, and I strongly believe yes, there should be parental supervision, parental control over mobile phones on what they are doing. Thank you so much.
Could I speak?
Who would like to go next?
Ma'am, could I speak?
Shivangini. No, Vishnu Priya.
I'm Shibagni.
Shivangini. Yeah, you may go next.
Good evening to everyone present in the meeting. Today, I, Shibagni Mazumdar, am going to speak against the motion, should a child be allowed to use smartphone without parental supervision? Yes, smartphones have made our lives way easier and more efficient. But say we become parents now. Wouldn't we be worried about the impact that a smartphone might have on our own children? Even more in a generation where youngsters have their own phones? If not, let me give you a few reasons to be worried. But first, let me give you an insight of how a child really thinks. If someone makes a comment on a child's personality or looks, or even both, then the child believes them. Yes, that is how naive a child can be. The internet is a predatorial world. When a child uses the smartphone alone, a predator might anonymously make a negative comment on a child, and the child naturally would believe them. There have been numerous cases of sexual harassment where children have been asked for inappropriate pictures by the predators on the internet. Meanwhile, if these cases would have taken place in front of a parent, then strict actions would have been taken and the lives of many children would have been saved. Let me give you another example. Usually, most of the people keep their confidential information on their phones. Now, a hacker might use tricks to ask the children using their phones alone for OTPs, passwords, etc., and use these informations to collect the confidential information stored in the phone. Now, this might have very serious consequences for that family. Sometimes the internet provides us a very wrong picture of reality. Children might end up having a totally contrasting image of what reality truly is. An example would be the unhealthy and unrealistic beauty standards of the internet today, resulting in depression, anxiety, and anorexia among young children. So it is very important for a child to be under parental supervision while using a smartphone, because the parent, being more experienced, could give a little more accurate information of what the topic might be. They could give us a second opinion or a more clearer picture of the reality. I'm sure everybody remembers the Blue Whale game, the game that destroyed the lives of thousands, most of them being children. But I think that this could have been prevented if only parents supervised their children while what their children were doing on their phones. So in conclusion, I would like to say that children in no way should be allowed to use their phones without parental supervision because of the many different types of online threats and inappropriate content present in it. Because yes, privacy is important, but it is not worth the lives of innocent children or the loss of their dignity. With this, I rest my case.
Thank you, Shibangini. Who do we have next?
Can I go next?
Yes. Vishnu Priya.
Good evening, everyone. Today, I, Vishnu Priya, from Don Bosco School, Guwahati,
would like to speak for the motion right to use mobile phones without parental supervision. I, being a 15-year-old, personally believe that it's not only the younger generations who are the slave of this very machine called mobile, but even the adults these days are really prone to getting addicted to it. Supervising your kids when they are using their mobile phone is at some point unethical and can lead to various unwanted circumstances. Keeping an eye on the conversation your child is having online might be a great way to keep them safe, but not only does it invade their privacy, but also impairs the parent child relationship. Imprudent parental supervision most of the time compels children to take erroneous path towards making false accounts on social media or games so that their parents or guardian can't have an access to it, and henceforth after doing such wrong tasks believe they are free to do anything, and this hidden freedom leads to more problems in the future. It also reduces the child's ability to make right decisions when it is required and also acts as a barrier for them to inculcate the ability to take responsibility of their actions. In fact, in my opinion, it is impractical to supervise your kid 24 hours and look at every step she is taking. So it is better to train them to have self control and self discipline since a very young age. As most of my friends have mentioned that it shows inappropriate content and pornography and stuff, I would also like to say these days social media apps at first before you log in ask ask for your age, and hence according to that it gives you age restrictions through which these sites and these images which you think is inappropriate are banned. And so therefore, and most of the people also commented on the thing that babies are taking look at a phone like for YouTube when mothers feed them. I would also like to say that it is better, it is the responsibility of the parent to guide them and to give them that particular self discipline and to train them since a very young age with that self control before providing them with mobile phones and getting them addicted to it and then complain that my children are addicted and then it is a problem. I would also like to say that supervision is totally different from guidance. Guidance is a totally different thing. Guidance is when your parent are giving you like that particular exposure where you're getting to know different things. But when you're talking about supervision, it's like constant monitoring and observing your children, which might, annoy them at times and hence building a mutual distrust between the parent child. Thank you.
Thank you, Vishnu Priya. So we have this.
Can I?
Absolutely. Bhavya, you can take on next. So I would like to tell you, each one of you, that you need to subscribe the channel, and there are votings that's going on. So each one who's voting for you has to subscribe the channel. So make sure everybody is subscribing the channel and hence voting for you to make you to the top 3 or top 2. So yes, who's going next?
I am Bhavya Gupta.
Yeah, Bhavya.
Good evening to honorable judges and my co-contestants. I am Bhavya Gupta from DLF World School. Before I put forward my case today, I would like to cite today's motion. Should children use mobile phones without parental supervision? I would radiate my perspective in favor of the motion. Giving phones to children without parental supervision will teach them responsibility. It will teach them how to manage their things and be more careful. Major concern of giving children phones without parental supervision is cyberbullying. This can be prevented by educating children of how they can be more careful. Our school held a session through which they taught children how to maintain privacy and be more careful with what they post. Sometimes working parents aren't able to pay much attention to their children and won't be able to supervise them. Social media gives children a platform to express their views and share them with the world. It makes them more confident. If a child knows how to manage their schedules and can use their phones effectively, the child should be allowed to use phones without parental supervision. Thank you for lending your ears.
Thank you, Bhavya. Who do we have next?
Sure.
Shaurya. Yes, Shaurya, you can go next.
Yes. Okay. Good morning to the judge and all of my fellow contestants. Today, I, Shaurya Rajput from DLF World School, is going to present my opinions on the topic which was given to us, which is should children carry phones? Should children use smartphones without parental supervision? And I totally agree with this topic because as of now, we all know that we all need to do different tasks a day. And we use mobile phones for various uses, like whether it be using it for online studies, using it for different type of research material. We always need to use a phone. And it would not be good for us, and it would be really very for the parents as well if they come every 10 minutes or 5 minutes to check on us, which would really not be efficient for us, and we would also lose our concentration. Second of all, most of our parents are working, and I'd argue that the parents who are watching this are probably working. What will we do if they're out working and we need to do something urgent? We wouldn't need to call them every time and ask them for the permissions for some basic things. That's why I believe on this topic, which is children should have some independence and liberty for themselves. Like they should need to always not be that carefree that whatever they're watching, or they should just not think that they can just do whatever they want, but obviously they should have some independence and liberty to what they're watching or doing. And this can be achieved with proper education and studies, and they would also be responsible for the things they're doing. Constant checking of parents can be a distraction and disturbance for all of us. I think we all agree on that. So I would write, and I strongly agree on this topic, and that I would also like to say a concluding statement. Amalgamation of education and ethics is more important than key over the supervision. The education and ethics of the child is more important than parents supervising us every time, as we need to use these devices. Thank you.
Thank you, Shaurya. Who do we have next?
Ma'am, may I go?
Arav,
Yes, ma'am.
go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, respected judges and fellow participants. I am Arav Mahajan of DLF World School. I'll be presenting my outlook at variants of the motion. No, children should not use smartphones without their parents' supervision because of increased threats and dangers of being online. Smartphones alter the parent-child relationships. While smartphones are handy, they disrupt the relationship that exists between a parent and a child. The connectivity associated with smartphone cannot be compared to the actual connection that should exist between a parent and a kid. Children are still in the process of maturing, and parents should build a bond with them. Children might become a victim of cyberbullying. Bullying on social networking platforms can be much worse than bullying in real world because the people can behave freely and in many cases anonymously. Bullying affects people of all ages, but children under the age of 13 are particularly vulnerable since this is when their self-esteem begins to develop. As a result, bullying causes kids to seek virtual approval, which may spiral out of hand. Abusive words and gossip online can also create anxiety, leading to panic attacks. Children might get scammed and become a victim of identity theft. Scammers and identity thieves see children as a vital resource because youngsters do not take loans, do not use credit cards, and do not pay their expenses. Their credit score is excellent, and criminals take advantage of it. Scammers specifically target kids who use social media sites, and things may spiral out of control since they are the easiest prey. Smartphones causes problem with mental health. The usage of a smartphone and internet connection, according to specialists, is one of the reasons for depression and anorexia in children. It hurts the children's mental health since they are bullied and often left alone. According to a report of 2016, a game named Blue Whale altered the children's brain and caused them to do harmful tasks and even suicide. Children are vulnerable and do not have the presence of mind to understand what is right or what is wrong. Violent games played by children without parental supervision can have a bad influence on them. Smartphones also cause children to get less sleep. A smartphone in the bedroom can lead to poor sleep, late bedtimes, and increased tiredness. The child's brain needs to be refreshed for the next day activities, and therefore, he or she should receive enough sleep. He or she won't be able to do it with a smartphone.
Ma'am, can I go next?
Are you done, Arav? Who would like to go next?
Ma'am, can I go next? I'm Shubh.
Yeah, Shubh, you may go ahead.
A very pleasant evening to the judges and my contestants. I, Shubh Moda of DLF World School, is going to present my dogma on children should be allowed to use phones without parental supervision. I will speak against the motion. Well, many parents choose not to give or buy their kids smartphones. Well, the primary reason is that it's a distraction from the academics, which, if not controlled, can become an addiction. But just as there are the downsides of phones, there is also another side of the coin, in that it is quite helpful as a medium, or rather, a requirement to be independent in this modern world. But they should be ready for the parental guidance so as to control their screen time, as the content they are being exposed to can be a bit overwhelming. Because in today's world, the internet is everything, and one can find all the amazing things on it, as well as the amazingly terrible things on it. Under parental guidance, they cannot come across obscene or violent content. And not just about content, there are a lot of children who don't even know anything about cybersecurity, and that they might get into trouble if they are not educated properly about the same. Another thing that comes to our mind when we say phones is social media. Anyone who has a smartphone has an ID on at least one of the social media platform. In fact, the world female population is about 3 billion, while there's around 5 billion female identified IDs on Facebook. Fascinating. Well, wherever comes social interaction comes friends. And with great friends come great peer pressure. Huh. And with great peer pressure comes the troubles and embarrassments. And finally comes with them the great, infamous, glorified on the television depression. One of the best ways to avoid depression is controlled interactions on social media. Plus, you must have heard of screens hurting our eyes. Yes, that too. Thank you for being all ears.
Thank
Ma'am,
you,
I would
Shubh.
like to go next.
Yes, Advait. We are just going to wind up in next 2 minutes. So whosoever would like to speak may speak now. And again, I would like to remind you all that you need to subscribe our channel in order to get your votes. And you need to have those subscriptions so that your friends, your family, and everybody can vote for you. So you have better chances at winning. Thank you, guys. Yes, Advait, you can continue.
A very cheerful evening to one and all present here. Judges and my co-participants. I, Advait Tiwari of class 10 of DLF World School, is going to present my opinion on the topic: should children use smartphones without parent supervision? I totally disagree with this idea. Phones can be addictive. As everyone knows that the thing that we continue making it without making a timetable, it can be very addictive. Effective time management skills are important for every child. In the same manner, phones can be addictive. For example, a child is playing a game and it plays like 2 to 3 hours. Then it is not good for good his or her mental health. Phones can cause insomnia, sleeping disorder. Overuse of phones may lead to sleeping disorder, insomnia. Phones emits high radiations which may attack your mental health. Point number 3. No interest in playing outside. If a child is addicted to smartphones, then he or she no longer want to play or go outside, interact with friends, and the bond between the parents and a child will be broken. For example, before COVID-19, most of the parents and children used to watch movies, talk about their work, but now the interaction has been broken. Grades may get worse. Many parents also experience that the grades of their child have got worse by buying a smartphone. This is often due to the fact that children play too much on the smartphones and do not use it for educational purposes too much. Thank you, everyone.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Uh, who do we have next? Yes, Shibangni, I've answered your query. Who do we have next? Do we have Shaurya or Aditya who would like to speak? Because we'll be just, winding up this session as we have another session lined up for the evening. I'm sorry, Shivangini, we do, give rooms for counter questions and interjections, but right now we are, having a short of time. So, that's what. Do we have anybody who hasn't spoken for a while or hasn't you really got a chance to speak?
We have to speak like on the topic again.
Shaurya? Shaurya, would you like to speak?
On the topic again.
Have you spoken already?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So, Aditya, I guess. Aditya? All right. So, when we talk about the topic, should children use smartphones without parental supervision? What we can really talk about is we live in a world where dangers are lurking at every step. So many incidences of crime against children can be marked every day. Parents of children having mobile phones must take some steps, to ensure the safety of the child. Parents should warn and keep children aware of various mobile phone crimes. Sometimes a child can get stalked by strangers over the phone. Parents of young children who have a mobile phone must get a postpaid connection and check the cell phone bills when it arrives. They must use parental control features to keep their children safe. Nowadays, social media websites are providing a lot of security features that help parents to ensure the children's safety. Providing children access to save downloaded images can enable parents to prevent them from using the internet on their mobile phones. So these were the major, points that was, raised by all of you students. Wherein the other way around was, whenever we give any access to any technology, whenever we give any access and any control over to the kids or students or maybe an age group, there are always chances that you may have a pros and cons for both the cases, right? But it's just how you take it up. How, as a child, what are your duties? What are your limitations? So, every each child is responsible for their own growth, their own understanding, their own knowledge space. For example, you guys, everyone must have googled whatever the topic is all about. What sort of information you would like to share? How would you be expressing your views? How would you be putting across your viewpoints and your thought processes on certain things? So everybody must have had a google access to it or an internet access to it. But like I said, so the google access that you had currently for this topic is an access which is in a positive sense. Similarly, every access is under your control, so there is a limited time and period wherein a parent could be with you, not 24/7, whether they are working, whether they're not working. So each parent also has a limitation, and students and kids also have their limitations. It is completely on one own individual. How are you taking things? How far do you want to go with technology, and how limited do you want to have it in with us? How positive impact that can create into your world, and how bad you can take it. Like I said, so not everybody is a part of social bullying. Not everybody is part of cyber crimes. Why a limited few of them? Because lack of knowledge, over and excess of everything is bad. So there are various reasons, and there are various terminologies which relate to them, but one common understanding that we can really call off is, how far are you going to take, what advantages that you're getting. So, with this note, I, Sakshi, host of the evening, would like to, sign off. All the very best, kids. We will be announcing the results within a week's time on our Instagram channel. Do subscribe our channel. Do vote for your favorite contestant. Everybody in the audience, do vote for your favorite contestant so that we can choose the